Hey guys, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video. Now once again you join me in my driveway. In terms of filming this video, the UK is currently in lockdown, hence why the car is sat here and won't be moving from here for, well, the foreseeable future, unfortunately. But further on from the Q&A, which I did fairly recently actually, one of the most popular questions which I didn't answer was to do with the running costs of the M140i. Now I've owned the car now for, I'd say, a good 4 or 5 months and done some serious driving in it, especially over the last month going around Europe. And so I thought I'd make a separate video, not just include it in the Q&A, to go more in detail with it. Now you may remember I did a similar type of video with my Golf R back in the day. So I thought, why not? Let's do one on the M140. And actually, it is quite expensive. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack on. So yes, this video is really going to be out there for people looking to buy an M140i. However, if you are one of my loyal subscribers and you do want to know, then this is going to be the perfect video for you. And to be honest, it's a good job that I'm not allowed to drive it, because there's a lot of different facts and figures which I'll be talking about, which I'll struggle to remember at the best of times, let alone trying to drive it at the same time. So starting off with what I think is probably the main cost, at least for me, with car ownership, and that is insurance. Now, of course, this car is modified, so that does add a slight premium to that. Just for the record, all modifications are declared on the policy, and actually, it didn't increase the price by that much, to be honest. But the price which I pay is just under £1,700. And of course, insurance is something which is never the same for anyone. So I am 20 years old, nearly 21, with 3 years no claims, of course, with a fair few modifications on there as well. I don't think that is too bad, especially comparing to my Golf R, which, yes, I did only have 2 years no claims at the time, but that was nearly 3 grand to insure. And when I was kind of on the market for one of these and I kind of knew that I wanted to replace the Golf R with one, I was looking at the insurance and I was really surprised just how cheap these are to insure. And I know I said that this car is expensive to run. It is, but this is probably the only thing which is actually quite reasonable, at least for me at least. So yeah, for a 3-litre rear-wheel drive car being around £1 grand cheaper than a 2-litre four-wheel drive car, I was pretty surprised. So yeah, insurance for me, 1,650 odd. Whilst touching on insurance actually, like I said, the modifications to have those declared was only around £200 to £300, and that is for some mods which aren't yet on the car. That obviously includes at the moment the body kit, because that's essentially what it's classed as, the wheels, the exhaust, what else? Some other bits and bobs as well. Now moving on, I am going to have to kind of relate back to my phone at times, because I'm really not very good with numbers, I'll be honest, and there's a lot to remember and I don't want to get anything wrong. But moving on to tax. Now this car, again, fairly reasonable for tax actually. You're looking around £145 for the year. If you want to do that under a 6-monthly basis, then it is just shy of £80. But yeah, again, pretty reasonable actually. If I remember rightly, casting my mind back to the Golf R, again, I'm sorry, I keep on relating it back to that. It's the most logical thing for me, but I think that was around 400, because I think the list price on that just touched over 40,000. And I believe there is some new law in place where if a car exceeds 40,000 new, you may not, well, you can buy it for cheaper, but if when it was built it was more than 40 grand, then you're basically in a different tax bracket and you pay like a flat rate of like 450. So yeah, 145 for this, which isn't bad. Now swiftly moving on to well, a very important cost when it comes to running a car, and that is fuel. Now straight off the bat, you don't buy an M140i to be efficient. You buy it to, well, in my case, drive it like you stole it. And this thing certainly churns through fuel. And of course, fuel really does depend on what fuel you choose, whether it's premium unleaded or just general unleaded. I recommend premium unleaded, to be fair, and where you are in the world, because in the UK especially, fuel is like but anyway, what you'll be looking at for one of these is around 300, maybe just under miles per tank, and of course that does depend on how you drive it. For me, that's kind of the average, which what I expect in mix between motorway driving and some nice twisty stuff. At the moment, I've just checked on the computer of this, I'm getting just shy of 30 mpg. The last time I drove this, let me think, was a motorway journey with a bit of back roads as well. So as soon as I see a back road, I'm like, Sport Plus. But yeah, I don't think that's too bad, to be honest, especially for a 3 litre pushing about 350, 360 brake. So yeah, that's not too bad at all. Now, in terms of cost, what I pay to fill this thing up, it does kind of, again, depend on where you're filling it up, but I'm looking at around 60 to 70, maybe just above 70 to fill this thing up. I believe it's a 50 litre tank, which isn't bad or isn't good. It's, yeah, you're just kind of the average thing. So yeah, that's what you're looking at fuel wise. But again, it's not really something which you're worried about when buying one of these. So back at the front of the car again, moving on to servicing. Now, servicing on the BMW M140i is every 18,000 miles or every 2 years. Now, this is definitely something to note. It is condition based. So if you are based in London and you're spending a lot of time stuck in traffic, kind of doing 20, 30 miles an hour, when you're doing a lot of hours driving, but maybe not a lot of miles, it will pop up before that because the car's been running for a certain amount of time and it thinks that it needs an oil change. But if you're based out in the countryside like I am, generally around 18,000 miles. And for a first service or a minor service, you're looking at around 300 to 310 pounds. That is, of course, an oil filter change, which is just a fairly straightforward thing. However, the major service, which is every 4 years, so when this thing is 4 years old, it will need a major service, or if it's at 36,000 miles, this thing will need a major service, and that is an oil and filter change again, but also a spark plug change. Now, this is where it does get quite expensive. I know it's not something which is, well, it's not something which I will personally experience because I don't think I'll have this car in 4 years' time. It's around 650, 700 pounds for that. Now, of course, any servicing you can do by yourself. I'm running this on a main dealer basis because one, I don't have the expertise to do anything like this myself, and two, for the resale, it's better to have main dealer service history. But yeah, you can get it done cheaper. Of course, you probably could get a discount if you ask the BMW service guys nicely, but that is kind of what you're looking at service-wise. So a minor service is around 300, and then a major service is around 650-ish, which is quite expensive, not gonna lie. So moving on, brakes. Now, brakes are something which hopefully, fingers crossed, unless I upgrade them, won't need doing in my ownership of this car. But hey ho, I've got to explain everything here because you never know, someone watching here might be buying a car which needs new brakes. So for the front, I've got my phone out again, sorry. For the fronts, discs and pads, I've kind of done it as a complete price for both fronts and backs. So the fronts, you're looking at £588. That's just something which I got quoted when just doing a quick book your service online thing with a BMW main dealer. Again, you could probably get this done cheaper if you do it yourself, or if you ask them nicely and give you a little discount. But 500, well, nearly 600 quid for a set of front discs and pads. Well, I've never had a car which I need to change the discs and pads on before, but that is a lot of money, especially when you see the backs as well. For the rears, actually, it is slightly cheaper, but you do make up with that for the tyres, which I'll get onto very shortly. But for the rear discs and pads, you're looking at 550. So if you want to change all four corners of the brakes, completely renew them, you're looking at, well, about £1,000 really, which is quite substantial. And actually, whilst we're here at the back of the car, one final thing to note is, of course, tyres. Now, of course, the M140i is rear-wheel drive, and so the tyres which you're most likely going to be needing are the rears. Now, I've done this as a price for the original tyres, which are Michelin Super Sports, I believe, and they have a set price for £150 per corner. So you're looking at £300 for the two rears, and if you want to add the two fronts as well, you're looking at £600 for new tyres. And these are good tyres. In fact, when these do need doing, they're all right at the moment, for now at least. I think I will stick with Michelin, maybe go for the Pilot Sports, maybe the PS4s if they do them on this, but these are good tyres. I know you can get the 140s with like budget tyres. I think there might be Bridgestones or Goodyears. I've heard that, well, they run flats, I believe, if I remember rightly. But these pretty good tyres, especially with the diff, which I've got fitted to my car as well. Yeah, it works substantially well, and I can't imagine what this thing will be like without a set of Michelin tyres on it. But anyway, I think that kind of sums it up. I'm sure there are some other costs here and there, but just general maintenance really. But that is the main kind of cost for maintaining an M140i. Now, comparing this to the Golf R, again, I can't remember exactly what it's like. I know it's cheaper for the insurance, but probably more expensive for stuff like the service, because my car doesn't have a service plan, and also things like tyres as well. But to be honest, you don't buy this car to be kind of low budget, you know. You buy this car to have some fun, and that is exactly what this thing excels at. But yeah, a very simple video. Once again, I hope you guys have found it interesting and informative. I'm sorry that I can't go out and drive it, but how things are in the UK at the moment, I don't want to risk anything unless I need some milk, which I probably will do soon anyway, but that's completely off topic. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do make sure to leave a like and make sure you subscribe for all the adventures still to come.